What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Today we're going over the best weapons you can equip to your Xilonen. First one we're going to be talking about is by far her best one, which is going to be her own unique signature weapon. Now, this weapon is going to do everything that you want for your Xilonen build. This weapon's gonna have the main stat of defense % for you. It's also gonna give you stacking defense increase. Although small, it's still gonna be there. It's gonna help buff up the heals that your Xilonen's going to do in her support form. And then on top of that, it's going to be giving you a stacking damage bonus based on Xilonen's defense, capping out at 3,000 defense, up to 25% for the entire party, counting Xilonen, and then also buffing up her own damage by 20%. So whether you want to build a full support Xilonen with easy investment, focusing on just energy recharge and defense, or if you're trying to go full DPS Xilonen, this is the best weapon you have access to for this character. And no other weapon's gonna come anywhere near the strength of her own signature weapon. But if you're looking for some other options to help out this sort of build, you have access to the Cinnabar Spindle as well as the new crafted flute weapon, which are both basically just going to give you a lot of extra defense. You're not going to get any damage bonuses off of these two weapons like you will with the full support Xilonen weapon, but you do gain access to a lot of defense, which is going to buff up the amount of healing that your Xilonen is going to be doing for your team. Both of these weapons are fantastic for this build. Now, one other support weapon that you might think is going to be a little weird for Xilonen, and let me tell you, it kind of is going to be the Freedom Sworn, which is Kazuha's signature weapon. You don't care about the Elemental Mastery on it whatsoever. Yeah, it might give you a little bit larger crystallization reaction shields. We don't care. Basically, what you're doing with the Freedom Sworn, if you choose to use this weapon, is foregoing any of the extra defense that you need to get some extra healing out of Xilonen. But what you are going to be getting is the passive effect off of the Freedom Sworn. And this is going to allow you to sort of mimic that damage bonus % from her signature weapon. If you don't have the Primo Gems and Fates saved up to try to get R1 version of her weapon, and you have a Freedom Sworn laying around or an extra copy, then you can go ahead and get a slightly smaller damage bonus from her in comparison to her own signature weapon, which is around 25%. You can get like 16-ish % or so from the Freedom Sworn, and then also get some attack % bonus in there for the rest of your party as well. So a little bit lower healing than her own signature weapon, but it is an option that I wanted to put out there for you, because if you care about just being a damage buffer, you'll be able to do some reactions with Xilonen in her team compositions that she wants to be placed in, and be able to get these stacks to activate the Freedom Sworn's damage bonus effects. And one other final weapon we need to discuss as we're talking about the usual Xilonen builds here is going to be Favonius Sword. Now, Favonius Sword is going to help you in a couple of ways, because, well, Xilonen, traditionally, you're only going to have Xilonen and at most one other Geo character, sometimes 0 Geo characters in your party with Xilonen, which means that you're going to need a pretty significant amount of energy recharge, especially in single target boss scenarios, right? Like 140, 160% energy recharge. And what you can do if you don't have access to her signature weapon, you don't have access to the Freedom Sworn, right, for that damage % bonus, you don't maybe necessarily care about the healing that she's going to be doing from having bonus defense from something like the Cinnabar Spindle on her. You use the Favonius Sword on her, and you build her for just energy recharge and defense %, and then just try to get as many crit % substats as you can. Get her crit rate pretty high, 50, 60, 70%. You don't really care about the damage, but what you do want to do is you're going to activate your elemental skill, use 1 or 2 normal attacks to fully fill your Night Soul gauge, and that's going to give you a couple of shots to crit and provide energy and particles for your team off the Favonius weapon passive. You're not going to have defense % as the stat for the weapon like you would with the Spindle or her own unique signature weapon, but you will get a big amount, 61% energy recharge off of this weapon, and you're also going to be able to fill up the gauges of your friends as well. So if you're looking for another weapon, Favonius weapon is going to be fantastic for you, and she's going to help you be a sort of energy driver and help herself and your teammates out as well. If you're looking to make Xilonen your main damage dealer on your team and utilizing her DPS form instead of her support resistant shred healer form, obviously her main signature weapon is going to still be the best option for her. It's going to give her damage bonus as well as supporting the team as well, but she's also going to get that extra damage bonus from the recent change to herself on top of getting that free main stat DPS. If you're not pulling for her own signature weapon for the DPS form, you can use something like Chiori's weapon or even the Miss Splitter Reforged. Both these weapons work fantastic as a DPS Xilonen. Basically anything that gives you damage in the form of defense or crit chance or crit damage. Something like the Black Sword even works as it buffs up your crit chance and increases your normal attack. As you know, we're aiming for 100K. I want to know what your weapon you're using with Xilonen is down below. Do you got some fancy tricks that I didn't think about? Let me know down there, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.